of the World Rally Championship as the city of Perth hosts the penultimate event in the 2002 calendar, Rally Australia. Three weeks ago we were in New Zealand, and we stay in the Southern Hemisphere for round 13 in Western Australia. The state's capital is the base for the 3 days, with the 24 stages, all on gravel, run to the east, the south and finally the southeast. Mitsubishi's Alistair McRae is once again missing through injury, while Yanni Parsonen will be trying to repeat his New Zealand pace. Finally, one man whose weekend got off to a painful start was Citroen's Sebastian Loeb, the Rally Deutschland winner, stung by a wasp at the pre-event shakedown test. Marcus Grönholm cannot now be caught in the battle for the Drivers' Championship, but with 2 events to go and 20 points on offer, second place is far from settled. Tata Solberg, Tommy Mäkinen and even Sebastian Loeb still have an outside chance of finishing as runner-up. In the series for manufacturers, Peugeot also secured their 3rd successive title in New Zealand, with Ford and Subaru left to fight for second place. Rally Australia began with the now traditional super special stage at Langley Park in the centre of Perth. The top 15 were covered by just 3 seconds, with the fastest time set by Solberg. The super special, however, was only the first of day one's 9 stages. The day was by far the longest of the entire event, but it's that last statistic, the weather forecast, which promised to be of most interest to the leading crews, and in particular the man who'd be first into those stages.
Marcus, you had hope for rain overnight. There has been some, but has there been enough?
I don't know. Yes, I think it's okay. We will see when we do the first stages how it looks. But I heard there is quite also muddy places, so it can be quite slippery.
The relatively short Harvey Weir stage was the rally's first proper test, and there was indeed mud. That at least should help Grönholm, since running first on the road through dry gravel would have been a problem. And, world champion or not, this was a rally Marcus wanted to win for the 3rd year in a row. An accident during testing the week before the rally meant co-driver Robert Reid had bruised ribs, but would that affect the pair's performance?
Left max long, 20, right max 100, flat right in, tightens maybe, 120, slight left, braking 40, left max of a press, 50 medium left, tightens.
After his mountain bike accident, McRae was another man in pain. Well, this was Derek Ringer's first stage alongside McRae since 1996.
30, rest and vibrate, plus 30, left, tightens to 5, into vibrate, minus over crest, and long 5 left, minus don't cut, into 6 crest, 50, 4 right over crest, opens.
Despite their worries, the pair was 0.6 of a second quicker than Burns and Reid, while Carlos Sainz and Luis Moya were another 0.3 faster still. The duo who'd led after the super special, Tata Solberg and Phil Mills, had determined to end the year on a high note after a string of disappointments. Solberg's performance on stage 2 suggested that a win in Australia was more than possible.
Into turn 2 left.
Tommy Mäkinen, on the other hand, had chosen very different tyres. Just 11th fastest on the stage, it was a frustrating start for Mäkinen and Kai Lindstrom. They had to complete another 2 stages before they could change those tyres. Instead, it would be the combination of a drying road surface and a very determined Belgian, which would result in Freddie Loix's 3rd stage win of the year.
En 200. Rechts 150, kort licht couperen, over stenen, glad, 150. Even links naar voren. Meer
Loix and Sven Smits were nearly a second quicker than even Solberg. So after 2 stages, Solberg led Gronholm by 0.7 of a second, with a surprised Loix third and Harry Rovanpera fourth, ahead of Sainz and Burns. McRae was 7th, with Mäkinen back in 11th, although the 2 Subarus were separated by just 8.4 seconds. Stage 3 was the 15.8 kilometres through Stirling West. As the virtual spectator overview of the stage shows, the final part runs alongside the Stirling Reservoir, before the stage finishes only a short way away from the start. The skies were threatening more rain, but that rain was holding off to the relief of the spectators. Marcus Gronholm and co-driver Timo Rautiainen had, it seemed, been penalised on the previous test by the dry road favouring those running further back. But conditions on stage 3 were more equal. As a result, the pair set a storming pace.
40 slow meter
Richard Burns would be third fastest. Robert Reid still struggling with his sore ribs. The Peugeot team doctor would strap up those ribs at the next service halt to try and help the situation.
To flat left, to left max 50, left max 120. Easy left and plus tightens. 50 fast left plus low. 60 fast left plus. Tightens. 70 flat right. To flat right. 60 braking crest, 10 fast right.
Burns' testing accident had destroyed the car Gilles Panizzi had planned to use, so Harry Rovanpera's 206 was the team's only other entry. Rovanpera on a similar pace to his 2 teammates.
3 oikein koristeystilaa. 100. Nyppytäys.
An incident on the stage suggesting that Derek Ringer was taking a little while to reacquaint himself with Colin's speed, and the quick delivery of the pace notes demanded by that speed.
6 over crest and 6 right over crest opens into gear, 6 left, tightens over crest, don't cut and turn 2 right, don't cut. Okay, 30, 6 left over crest, opens, 30, very long 6 right.
In another Ford Focus, Marco Martin and Michael Park also had pace note problems.
80, 6 right. Yep, okay. Yep, 55 plus left, long.
That heavy landing caused Park to bite his tongue, so talking was a little painful. While later in the stage, muddy water splashing onto Martin's face meant he said something his co-driver had difficulty in understanding.
50. 6 left, 50, 5 minus right, 40, 4 left, what do you say? I said flat right.
Solberg again flew through the stage, but this time he'd have to settle for second best, the Subaru 2.3 seconds slower than Gronholm's Peugeot. So the lead had changed hands, and it was now the Finn who led the Norwegian. Couldn't repeat his stage win from the previous test. The Hyundai now equal 5th on the leaderboard with Sainz's Ford Focus. Another driver to struggle in the damp conditions was Jan Parsinen. The Finn had scored the Mitsubishi Lancer WRC's first stage win in New Zealand, but was a lowly 14th after stage 3 in Australia.
Oikein helppo, plus pitkä alas. 7. Oikein eri.
Let's see just how much time that late pace note cost McRae. Thanks to the virtual spectator, we can see that Sainz, Burns and Gronholm are more or less equal with McRae heading up to the corner. Keep an eye on McRae though. As the others are braking for the turn, he carries straight on and loses 10 seconds or so turning the car around. It's that easy to make a mistake at this level of the sport, and it's also that easy to lose 2 places, which is what happened. Stage 4, Murray River, is a Rally Australia classic, but was last used in 1996. Grönholm was again quick, but as he passes our camera, it's clear that he's clipped something with the rear of the car. So Burns and the rest had a golden opportunity to strike back.
Long, 30 braking easy right, slippy maybe to slow medium left. And opens 30, fast left plus, 70 braking K right, narrows, slippy, 80, flat right, long, slippy, go 80, long crest 20 left max, narrow OK, 100, slide left, 120. Richard finished the stage.
So Burns again lost time to his colleague, while Rovanperä would be slower still. All three of the silver bullets were still in the top 5, however, underlining the stranglehold they've held on the championship for most of the season. No errors for McRae and Ringer this time, but they couldn't match the pace of teammates Sainz and Moyer, who were, it seemed, the only crew able to get anywhere near the time set by Grönholm and Rautiainen.
Limpias otra vez. Izquierda buena más, poco tarde, tiene mucho, después paros y se abre. Charco. Para rasante fondo, derecha rápida más. Ras. Para uno, principio en quinta, izquierda buena más, poco tarde, tiene y se abre, frenando mucho fin. Para rasante derecha, media más en cruce. 3. Derecha frenando, derecha media más en cruce, se cierra. Barro, derecha frenando, derecha media más en cruce. Barro. Atención, salida. 2.
Even Solberg, the early pace setter, was no match for Grönholm, despite the damage to the Peugeot. Petter's thoughts on the stage are clear as he and Phil Mills cross the finish line.
Turn slippy, narrow, 1 right plus, 20, crest, and slippy 6 right minus, opens 80, caution, narrow, keep right over extra long crest in the short, 6 left, 60, flat crest, 6 left plus.
How was delivery?
Incredible.
Incredible.
It wasn't just the Subaru driver who thought the stage was tricky. Scotland's Tony Gardemeister was only 14th fastest, although at least he avoided the differential problems which had slowed Kenneth Eriksson in the other Octavia. Hyundai's moment of glory had come and gone, it seemed, with Freddie Moix just 8th quickest. By now, the winner of Stage 2 was embroiled in a scrap for the final point-scoring position, with 3 drivers covered by less than 3 seconds. As the crews headed for service, Grönholm's lead had grown to nearly 9 seconds, with Burns and Sainz both chasing hard. Behind Rovanperä, there was now that thrilling battle for 6th, with Loix, Mäkinen and McRae all determined to make their mark on an event rapidly being dominated again by a... Stage 5, Brunswick, was the first of a pair of 2, although at only 16 kilometres, it was by far the shorter. That hardly seemed to matter to the rally leader. Short or long, Marcus Grönholm is simply devastating on gravel stages, and he again set a blistering pace for the others to chase.
Tightens in slippy. 30. Flat right. To flat right long, 60. Slight left. 80. Richard finished the stage.
The two Fords suffered mixed fortunes. McRae was 7th quickest, but at least moved closer to Loix, while Sainz was 4th fastest, and so his 4th place on the leaderboard looked a little more secure. It was a similar story for the two Subaru drivers. Mäkinen snatched 6th place from Loix, but despite being 3rd quickest, Solberg dropped behind Burns. But the stage's biggest headaches were reserved for Kenneth Eriksson and co-driver Tina Turner. After their earlier transmission problems, this time it was a loose turbo pipe which caused the pair to lose time, and they'd come out of the stage in 23rd place. At nearly 39 kilometres, Stage 6, Stirling East, was the longest of the entire event. As far as Grönholm was concerned, though, it was business as usual. Fastest again, his 4th stage win in a row. He'd extended his lead to over 20 seconds. Behind the Finn, the rest of the top 6 were locked in a series of battles. Burns was still in 2nd place, but there were now 2 men within just 2.5 seconds or so of the Englishman. One of those was Carlos Sainz, still looking for his first win in Australia, who had his sights set on Petter Solberg's 3rd place.
6 right plus over crest, 100, 6 left, half long, tightens into 6 right minus. Half long, 50.
Solberg held on, but only just. Marco Martin would lose precious seconds with this spin, but out of sight of our cameras, Freddie Loix's great rally came to an end when the Hyundai left the road 5 kilometres into the stage. Stage 7, Murray Pines South, and the day's penultimate forestry test. No surprises as far as the stage winner was concerned. Orno was again in a class of his own, but a little of the pressure was about to be taken off the Finn. Donholm's world title had been won when Burns crashed out of the rally in New Zealand. WRC Australia was also destined to end in retirement for the 2001 world champion, although this time it was clutch failure which was the cause of that retirement.
Big clutch slip. I'm driving slowly. Slight left braking, 100 tons.
The car coasted to a halt, but marshals were quick to point out that the 206 was in a dangerous position, and so the crew had to push the clutchless Peugeot into a safer location, where the driver could vent his frustration.
Pressure was the problem.
The clutch slipping and well, I can't go anywhere. Even if I get it in gear, it's just
After closing to within 9/10 of a second of Solberg, Sainz's challenge wilted slightly on stage 7. The Spaniard was 5th fastest, but more importantly, lost over 3 seconds to the Subaru driver. Was also quicker than Sainz, but the gap between his Peugeot and the Ford Focus was still over 17 seconds. Solberg might have been able to breathe a little easier, but he couldn't afford to relax. Burns going out mentally was now second once again, but Sainz was still a huge threat.
100. Lap 6 left first of the crest, 40, 6 right. Caution, 40, line into 5 left, tightens turn, tight 1 left.
Armin Schwarz joined Freddie Loix in retirement when engine failure forced the German driver to a halt around 8 kilometres into the stage. 2 of the 3 Hyundais had gone out within a stage of each other, and Richard Burns was one of those who helped push the car into a safe place. For driver Daniel Grataloop. Last year the pair crashed out of the rally in an incident which put Grataloop in hospital. Sadly, history would repeat itself in 2002. The Mitsubishi hit a tree and Grataloop was again airlifted to hospital with injuries including a broken ankle and a fractured pelvis. Stage 8 was a repeat of the Murray River test and rounded off the day's action in the forests. Once again it was the number 2 Peugeot which set the fastest time, Grönholm demonstrating just why he and Peugeot have sewn up both World Championships with 2 events to go. With just another Langley Park Super Special remaining, Grönholm now had a lead of 29 seconds over Petter Solberg. McRae, on the other hand, hadn't had such an enjoyable first day, and it wasn't over yet. A few more precious seconds were lost by that incident, leaving McRae to start day 2 in 6th place. Sainz returned to Perth in 3rd place, losing another 0.4 of a second to Solberg on the stage, but at least he avoided repeating McRae's mistake on that bend. Solberg is second tonight, set to continue that fight with Sainz on day 2. After all the problems and disappointments of the season, however, the Norwegian must be fairly happy with his performance. With Loix and Schwarz out, Hyundai's hopes are pinned on 4-time Rally Australia winner Juha Kankkunen, but the absent 6-sounding engine suggested it might not be too long before they lose their 3rd car as well. With just the Super Special to go, Marcus Grönholm leads Petter Solberg by exactly 29 seconds tonight, with Carlos Sainz, Harry Rovanpera, Tommy Mäkinen and Colin McRae rounding off the top 6. The chasing pack is headed by Marco Martin, with Kankanen's Ailing Hyundai in 12th place. Day 2 would see another 11 stages, including the final thrash around the Langley Park Super Special. Only 55 cars were left of the 69 which started, and early rain was again forecast, although it promised to brighten up later on.
You know, when you start a rally with no chance of really winning, it's very difficult to get full motivation, and that's the case at the moment. We did start the rally with a win in mind, but you know, very quickly the Peugeot again pulled away quite severely, and it's very, very difficult to find the motivation that you need to try and win in that situation.
The day is going well and we have no problems and we can keep pushing.
Petter, Carlos says he's out to get you this morning. Can you keep him behind you?
I'm not thinking about him, I'm thinking about Marcus. I'm going to try to beat him.
Stage 10 was the day's first, 9.5 kilometres with the unlikely name of Kevs. The clouds were gathering, but it remained dry. With the manufacturers nominated cars running in reverse order, Kenneth Ericsson's Skoda was the first into the stage, soon hoping to make up some of the time lost on day 1 with mechanical problems. Few drivers would report any dramas on the stage, although Tommy Mäkinen was the exception. Nearly stalling on the start line didn't lose much time, but it must have provided a rude awakening for the 4-time world champion. Mäkinen's troubled start meant Harry Rovanpera took nearly 4 seconds off the Subaru driver. The pressure was still on though. Carlos Sainz's 3rd place was now starting to come within reach of the Peugeot.
Vasen nopea alas aukeaa. 6.
It looked as though Rovanpera would be quickest on the stage, taking 3 seconds off Sainz in the process, although the Spaniard had a close call with some of the local wildlife.
Sasar, para izquierda buena más corta, abrirse 1. Rasante izquierda rápido con la poco y se abre a fondo para 1. Derecha rápido más corta, se cierra ras. Para izquierda rápido con sexta de tierra para 1 corto.
Kangaroos normally hide in the forest during the day, only coming out in the evening, so the incident came as a complete surprise to Sainz. If we slow down the shot from his onboard camera, you can see that there's a slight twitch as Carlos reacts to try and miss the animal. No such nasty surprises lay in store for Petter Solberg and co-driver Phil Mills. With their 2nd place under threat from Sainz and Lewis Moyer, they stormed through the stage to set the fastest time, taking 3.5 seconds off the Ford pair to open up the gap once again. The difference between 2nd and 3rd was now nearly 7.5 seconds. But still nearly half a minute ahead of the Subaru with Marcus Grönholm's Peugeot, just 3rd quickest this time. So there was no change in the order, but some of the crews now had at least one eye over their shoulders. 2nd place to 5th were covered by less than 40 seconds. The chasing pack also included some potential scraps, with Tony Gardemeister now 15 seconds or so ahead of Sebastian Loeb. Stage 11 was the 26.4 kilometres through Berwick, another classic Rally Australia test. 13th placed Kenneth Ericsson was losing ground to the although the body damage to the front of the Skoda suggests one reason for the 10 seconds or so lost to the Finn on the stage. Colin McRae was still sore from a fall from his mountain bike before the rally. No matter what the Ford team doctor did, it seemed McRae's passage through the stages was suffering a little from his injury.
Vähävasen täys 120.
Rovanpera set a stunning pace for the others to chase. Sainz would try, but a fallen tree forced the Ford driver to back off as he bumped over it, and there also seemed to be a question mark over his tyre choice. 17.8 seconds split the focus from Rovanpera's Peugeot going into the stage, but 3rd place now looked set to change hands. Indeed it had, by just 0.2 of a second. Solberg went next, but the faster road through Berwick meant both the Peugeots would be quicker than the Subaru, and so Solberg wouldn't repeat his stage 10 victory. Marcus Grönholm and Timo Rautiainen would be nearly 3 seconds faster through the 26 kilometres, but Rovanpera and Voito Cylinder were a 1.5 seconds quicker still. The Peugeot 1-2 on the stage meant that Grönholm's lead was up to over 31 seconds. On his finish, Colin was now 3rd, ahead of Sainz. South was then the final stage in this batch of 3. The virtual spectator overview of the stage shows us the start and the first half kilometre or so, but another 18 very fast open kilometres remained, just what Solberg didn't need. In theory, this was the kind of stage that Peugeot drivers enjoyed. It wasn't just the Peugeot drivers, however. The top 8 times included all 4 of the Fords. 21-year-old Francois Duval was 8th fastest, despite hitting a rock at one point on the stage, while Marco Martin was about 3 seconds quicker.
40, 6 minus left, and 6 right over crest. 50, 5 minus left.
Rovanperä had accomplished his first aim of the day on the previous stage by snatching 3rd place. He kept up his pace on stage 12, keen to not only keep Sainz at bay, but make up some of the 20 seconds or so to Solberg. Sainz, though, always enjoys a fight and set off to retake that 3rd place.
Para izquierda rápida más, para uno, rasante en derecha, vio con sexta, decir a poco y se abre. Para rasante en izquierda rápida, para rasante en derecha rápida, pero menos izquierda y se cierra. Acaba rápida menos menos.
So Rovanperä had extended his advantage over Sainz to nearly 10 seconds, while next to tackle the stage was Solberg. Of a second lost this time, so Solberg could breathe a little easier. Renault was then 3rd fastest behind the pair, allowing Rovanperä to take his 2nd successive stage win.
Vaseri helppoi yli nypyn. 5 ja ai oikein lyhyt kivi sisällä. 100. Vaseri ehkä jouhee.
Stage 13, York Railway, was last used by the rally in 1999. The end of day 1 saw concerns over the engine in Juha Kankanen's Hyundai, but the problem was traced to his spark plugs, and the Finn was now closing in on 11th placed Jani Parsonen. Tony Gardemeister was just a 10th of a second slower than Kankanen, the Skoda driver having extended his advantage over 10th placed Sebastian Loeb to over 39 seconds. Frustrations of the off-road excursions on the opening day, Colin McRae and Derek Ringer flew through York Railway to set the first fastest stage time in nearly 6 years.
Into 6 left. 30. 6 right and 6 left narrows.
It was, however, they shared with another crew, Harry Rovanperä and Vojto Silander stopping the clock on exactly the same time. The 4th fastest time was also shared. Peter Solberg and Carlos Sainz exactly 2.6 seconds slower than McRae and Rovanperä. Mike Gronholm, the man, was 3rd on the stage. Stage 14 was another test which hadn't been used for a few years, Miresk.
Number 6 coming into view now, so we're back on the original schedule, and they're going to be coming at 1 minute
is famous for the series of bunny hops which lead up the hill, and then a narrow gate over a cattle grid around 400 metres from the stage finish. Marco Martin and co-driver Michael Park had little experience of Miresk and were only 9th quickest.
26 minus left, stone in, 70 jump. 70 crest, 34 plus right, keep in.
The pair got their biggest shock as they hit the cattle grid.
Flat right. 70. 6 minus right fast over crest.
30 jump with 6 left.
Sat alongside Colin McRae since 1996, but Williams was a regular fixture of Australia in the mid-1990s. That might account for the fact that the pair were pushing hard on the stage as the Ford Focus headed up towards the cattle grid.
Opens. 70. 5 left plus over crest line, 100. 6 left and clear, narrow jump line and 6 right. Into right tightens. Right tightens to 6.
Ringer hardly misses a breath, but the damage had been done. The nose-heavy landing had damaged the car's radiator, and even though they stopped the clock just 0.3 of a second slower than the stage winner, the engine would stop on the road section after the stage, and their rally was over.
Kicked very high on the last jump and landed right on the nose, and it's broke the radiator, so we've got no water left in the engine.
McRae's retirement meant McKinnon could relax a little, although his mechanics had made changes to the Impreza's transmission. There seemed to be no repeat of the understeer, which had slowed Terry on day one. As a result, McKinnon had moved up a gear.
Well, he's trying.
With McKinnon going quickest so far, Solberg tried to better the time set by his teammate. This time, though, the Norwegian had to settle for second best. That Subaru won too, although unexpected, wouldn't be beaten, with Rovanperä nearly 3 seconds slower than McKinnon. The gap from Solberg to Rovanperä had expanded again to over 20 seconds, with Sainz also bettering the time set by the Peugeot driver. Even the man who dominated day one had no answer to the two Subaru drivers, it seemed. Marcus Grönholm was a second slower than even Rovanperä, finding it difficult to find a rhythm on the short stage. Would stage 15, the second run through Muresk, be as exciting?
Oh, big jump, a lot of commitment there from the Hyundai.
So. The four-time world champion had now
He's probably quite keen on increasing his lead in today.
Need to jump, 50, jump, 50, came left over crest and very long medium right, 120.
Despite not repeating the stage win, McKinnon was now a lot happier with the Impreza's handling. To give some idea of the transformation, the previous pace setter was just 0.3 of a second quicker than McKinnon.
Hän hypyteli vasen helppo sisäänkääntöön. Huomio porttihyppy eri varokkaasti. Hae pitkä oikein helppo
Following McRae's retirement, Sainz must have taken the jump even more cautiously, although one eye was on Rovanperä's time.
Queda la vida de fondo, 2. No pasa nada, ¿no? Nada. Perfecto.
The unfortunate fly was the only casualty this time, the Spaniard sharing the stage victory with the Finn. Solberg, who got into early right, for the second time through the rest.
Yeah. 200.
The spin, though, only cost a few seconds.
Left over crest.
Grönholm, concerned about his brakes, nevertheless stormed through the stage just 1/10 of a second off the time set by Rovanperä and Sainz. But Solberg's spin meant the Peugeot driver's lead had grown to over 32 seconds. As the cars headed for a regroup in the town of York, Grönholm's lead was 32.2 seconds, with Solberg kicking himself for the spin. Marco Martin, now 6th, was a long way behind McKinnon, while Martin's teammate Duval headed the pack chasing a point-scoring top 6 place. Stage 16, the 20-kilometre Flynn's short test, would then take the crews back to service. One crew who was grateful for that fact would be Jani Parsonen and co-driver Arto Kapanen.
380.
The roll wasn't that severe, but the Mitsubishi mechanics would have bodywork repairs to carry out. Solberg's engineers already had a new set of suspension ready, but the second fastest time on stage 16 clawed back 0.2 of a second from Rovanperä. Francois Duval was 6th quickest. He was now within 3 seconds of snatching 6th place from Marco Martin in an identical car after the Estonian overshot a junction out of sight of our
50,
cameras.
5 plus left, 20, 4 plus right narrows, 6 minus left, 70, flat right, tightens to 6, 20, 4 left, 50, 3 plus left, 30.
Sainz, meanwhile, was still 4th, unable to repeat his shared stage win. It seemed that 1 second gained on one stage would be lost on the next, to the Spaniard's frustration. At service in Chidlow, Mitsubishi team boss Andrew Cowan kept a close eye on the repairs to Parsonen's car, which appeared to be on the brutal side at times. As Parsonen himself looked on, his mechanics worked their usual miracles, although the repairs took 6 minutes longer than the allowed time, picking up a minute's penalty. The suspension change on Solberg's Subaru, on the other hand, was carried out within the 20 allotted minutes, and so the Norwegian could leave service penalty-free. Stage 17, Helena North, was the longest of the day at nearly 29 kilometres. Sainz took almost 7 seconds off the chasing Tommy Mäkinen, lifting some of the pressure off the Ford driver. Rovanperä, however, was another second or so quicker, so any fault Sainz had of retaking 3rd place looked to be fading. Solberg was again the second fastest through the stage, over 3 seconds quicker than Rovanperä. So Petter's second place on the leaderboard was a little more secure, thanks to that suspension change. Marcus Grönholm might have left it until the late afternoon to finally start setting fastest stage times, but won his second in a row in style, 10 seconds quicker than even the flying Solberg. Stages 18 and 19 then rounded off the action out in the bush. Equal second fastest on stage 19, Atkins, Tommy Mäkinen would return to Perth in a comfortable 5th place, but 6th had changed hands, with Duval now ahead of Martin. The Ford pair's more experienced colleague, Sainz, would be 4th, with only the final sprint around the Langley Park Super Special remaining. The gaps between the men in 2nd, 3rd and 4th were very similar, so they'd still be having to fight for on the final day. The driver in 3rd was Harry Rovanperä, who set or shared a string of fastest stage times during the day, although it'll still be a tough job for the Finn to move any further up the order. Tougher still will be the task facing Petter Solberg on day 3. The Norwegian well aware that Marcus Grönholm appears to be well on the way to his 3rd successive Rally Australia win. Fastest on all of the day's last 4 stages, the new world champion would return to Perth with a lead of nearly 50 seconds. This is how things stand tonight, with the top 5 all holding position over the final batch of stages, but 6th place being swapped between the 2 men who look set to form Ford's assault on next year's World Championship. Marco Martin, however, is unlikely to settle for 7th place tomorrow. Over 71 kilometres of stages would decide the rally, with only 46 of the original 69 cars still in the event, and the weather forecast promising clear blue skies and sunshine.
Marcus, with 105 kilometres left, in many ways it's a rally for you to lose and not win.
Yeah, but okay. Yeah, it's still 100 k's and everything is possible, but without no stupid mistakes from me, so it should be okay.
Would you be happy to finish 2nd?
Yeah. Can't complain for that, you know. but we have to wait to do all the stages first, you know, because look at New Zealand, it happened on the next last.
Phil, just describe for us this morning the nature of the stages. Are they very different from the other stages?
Yeah, they're very much different to yesterday. Yesterday was very narrow with the trees very close to the road. Here they're very, very wide and open, almost like Africa in places. Very, very fast.
All 4 of the final day's stages were in the Bannister Forest, although the area is better known by the name of the company which owns that forest, Sotico. The virtual spectator overview of the Bannister Central stage confirms the long straights and 90-degree corners, but it doesn't show the massive jumps which make the rally's final day so popular with the fans. Stage 21 was the first and shortest of the day's 4. Then the final day sees the running order reversed, so the Skoda of Kenneth Eriksson was the first to leave the start. It is, however, the finish of the stage which is perhaps the most famous stretch of road in the entire championship. Johan Kankanen completing the stage over a second quicker than Eriksson.
6 left, jump
Marco Martin
down.
and co-driver Michael Park headed down the
6 right
jumps
over big
towards the
jump.
finish, aware that their
26
main
left over
rivals were their
jump.
Ford teammates, Francois Duval
17,
and
4
Jean-Marc
plus left
Fortin.
into 3 plus right, water. 2 left. 3 right. 20, 3 plus right, 4 left.
Let's follow the Belgian pair as they head over the jumps. Keep an eye on the clock. So, 6th place was Martin's once again. Tommy Mackinnon and John Woodstrong were still for over 2 minutes ahead of that battle though, and their minds were set on snatching 4th place from Carlos Sainz and Lewis Moyer. The Super effected a puncture, but the RAS system did its job and no time was lost. The Ford pair, however, had very different ideas. They stormed through the stage.
Rasante interesa rápido, ojo corta, salta. Sasar, pasando izquierda rápido, ojo, salta. Abrir izquierda, buena más, izquierda. Para derecha, calle tierra atrás. Frenando Río, limpias. Para izquierda, media de tierra, barro. Sasar. Para derecha, para atrás. Abrir izquierda, derecha, buena más, ojo, izquierda, poco y ras. Pasando izquierda, buena más corta. Para derecha, rápida, 2.
Harry Rovanpera had 2 aims, to stay ahead of Sainz and to attack Petter Solberg's 2nd place. Rear bodywork flapping, the Finn flew over the jumps and charged down the hill towards the water splash. He'd take 3 seconds off Sainz's time, so his first aim had been achieved, but the second of those aims now depended on Solberg.
Caution, 13, early 6 left, thrust, keep end of a crest and dip, and keep right to that quick jump, 30, keep middle of a jump, 80, leap 4 left, plus on crest, keep in 30, slow 4 right, keep in through water, early 1 left, minus tight,
The Norwegian would be slower still though. Over 5 seconds would be lost to the Peugeot driver, and so the gap was now down to under 20.
narrow 6 right bus.
Marcus Grönholm, of course, had no one to fight with, and he was 3rd quickest behind Rovanpera and Sainz, now surely only 3 stages away from his 3rd successive win in Australia. Let's call in the services of the virtual spectator to compare 5 drivers as they tackle the pair of jumps. Rovanpera is by far the quickest of the 5 into the first jump, and despite the fact that time spent in the air is usually regarded as time wasted, just look at how far he leaps. Spectacular, fast and millimetre perfect. No wonder Peugeot were quick to sign the Finn as their 3rd driver for the gravel events. One stage down, 3 to go, and this was how things stood. Grönholm's lead was now almost 50 seconds, with Rovanpera edging closer to Solberg and Sainz pulling away from Mackinnon. Martin had now grabbed 6th, but Duval was unlikely to let the Estonian have things his own way for too long. Stage 22, and it was clear that the locals were awake. Kenneth Eriksson and Tina Turner have had one disappointment after another this weekend. The Swedish pair were 11th after a loose turbo pipe, brake problems, and now a howl in their intercom system caused by water from his drinks bottle. Tony Gardemeister and Paavo Lukka in the other Octavia were 8th. The Finns Sebastian Loeb and Daniel Eleanor had come to Australia to learn, ready for next season. The Citroën was 9th, with Gardemeister's Skoda now a long way ahead. The battle for 6th place between the two Ford drivers continued on stage 22, with Marco Martin furious at himself for one slight error. It wasn't surprising. He and Duval were still just 0.4 of a second apart.
150, easy left in. 50, flat right. 150, 6- left fast. Crest, keep right and easy right. 80, crest.
Duval also made a mistake on the stage, but despite a half spin, was 7 seconds quicker than Martin. 6th place had again changed hands.
Sommet gauche à fond, pour sommet à fond. 75 mètres, sommet à fond absolu, et frein pour 75 mètres, il est droite 40. Et frein. Il est droite 40. Attention, à louper.
Tommy Mäkinen saw no repeat of the puncture he'd suffered on the previous stage. He'd be 3rd fastest this time, the rally now effectively a test for next year, with the Finn trying different settings in an attempt to squeeze some extra speed from the Impreza. Or Sainz know, however, that stage 22 would see a change to the leaderboard. The roll caused by the wheels digging into the ruts in that slow corner didn't cost that much time in itself, but the turbo had been damaged, and it was a battered Ford Focus which passed the team's mid-stage pit board. It incites the bad news. He was about to drop to 5th behind Mäkinen. Again, watch the clock to see just how much time the incident had cost.
Menos a fondo para la izquierda rápida para uno, derecha rápida ojos de tierra, abrirse. Derecha buena más en quinta, se abre por dentro fin. Buena más en quinta, se abre por dentro fin. Frenando para izquierda buenas en tierra, uno. Rasante en derecha buena más con fe para uno corto. Izquierda buena más en quinta de tierra, 2.
Next through the stage would be unaware of the drama until he reached the finish, although hanging on to 3rd place was no longer the main aim. Harry stormed through the 28 kilometres, setting a blistering pace for Solberg to aim for. The Subaru driver, though, had chosen a hard tyre compound for the pair of stages, and that choice looked to have been a mistake. There was hardly any grip, the Impreza slipping and sliding on the gravel. Time loss was inevitable, but would Solberg also lose his 2nd place?
Tightens minus half long, 60. Keep left over crest into 5 right minus tightens, and unseat each on 4 left tightens. 120. Crest and dip, 6 left.
Yes, he would.
No grip, Bill. No grip at all.
Grunholm, now almost a sideshow to the dramas unfolding behind him on the leaderboard, decided to provide some excitement of his own. The rally leader, lucky to escape this moment unscathed. That leaderboard now looked very different. The name at the top might not have changed, but Rovanperä was now 2nd, Mäkinen 4th, and Duval 6th, all in just one stage. Marco Martin, however, was determined to retake that 6th place again, and so this was a battle which looked set to go down to the wire. Stage 23, Bannister West, the 2nd longest of the day at nearly 35 kilometres. With Carlos Sainz rumoured to be heading to Hyundai next year, Ford's assault on the 2003 World Championship looked as though it would be entrusted to the two men who were scrapping for for 6th. It was certainly a thrilling affair, with Martin determined to regain the upper hand on stage 23, but it was a mistake by the Belgian driver which would settle matters. Duval eventually manages to restart the car and starts to drive on, but he quickly realises that the battle with his teammate is over and pulls up. You can clearly see the huge dent in the driver's door, and Duval was airlifted to hospital as a precaution. So one of the contests within the top 6 was settled, but Mäkinen was only 15 seconds or so ahead of Sainz, and so the Subaru driver couldn't afford to relax just yet. In addition, there'd be problems ahead for Mäkinen when a weight check revealed the Impreza to be underweight. The penalty for such an offence is exclusion, so the Finn would have to tackle the final stage with a cloud over his head. A new windscreen and bodywork and a repaired turbocharger meant Sainz's Ford Focus was flying once again, but the Spaniard would lose nearly 5 seconds to Mäkinen on the stage. The battle for second place was next on the agenda.
Jatkaa pitkä oikein täys. 400. Vai pitkä oikein täys. Aukee ylös.
Rovanperä was a stunning 23 seconds faster than Sainz. The challenge to Solberg had clearly been laid down. Despite the fact that Petter's fan club had made the long journey to Australia, they couldn't inspire their hero, it seemed. It now looked as though Solberg was happy to settle for 3rd, rather than risk yet another retirement, and he was over 16 seconds slower than Rovanperä. Grönholm was 2nd fastest, getting within 5 seconds or so of his colleague's time. No matter, just one stage now stood between the new world champion and his 5th victory of the season. This had been another classic Grönholm performance. His first Rally Australia win 2 years ago had put him on course for his first world title, and even though he's already sewn up the 2002 crown, a victory is still a victory. Stage 24, Bannister North, and the final 36.8 kilometres. After a strong drive, Juha Kankkunen and co-driver Juha Repo retired their Hyundai from 9th place with engine failure, so none of the 3 accents finished. Both the Skoda Octavias finished the rally, however. Tony Gardemeister 7th, with Kenneth Eriksson 2 places behind his Finnish teammate. The final stage also used the downhill section over the jump through the water splash. Marco Martin and Michael Hart headed down the hill, relieved to finish 6th, and so pick up the first of the points.
55 plus left, tightens to 3, and 6 right over big jump, 20, 6 left over jump, 70, 4 plus left into 3 plus right quarter, 2 left, 3 right, 20, 3 right.
Sainz would lose another 10 seconds or so to Mäkinen, hardly able to believe his bad luck at that roll in the ruts of stage 22. The Ford Focus would have an incident-free run this time, on its way to finishing 5th. That cloud over Mäkinen Road was getting darker by the minute. The rally stewards would meet later to discuss the car's weight infringement, and despite being 3rd fastest on the final stage, 4th place was beginning to look doubtful. Sure enough, Mäkinen and Lindström would later be excluded. Solberg's Impreza had passed all its checks, and with Petter proposing to his girlfriend Pernilla in the days before the rally, all in all it had been a great weekend for the Norwegian driver. He might not have retaken 2nd place, but he'd shown he could take the fight to Rovanperä.
Opens 30, keep right of the crest and 6 left narrow, 6 right plus over finish.
But, as on so many occasions, occasions this year, it finished a Peugeot 1-2. Rovanperä wasn't able to complete the clean sweep of stage wins, but the important work had already been done, and Harry could enjoy second place.
Jatka oikein täys, 3, vasen täys, 120, vasen nopea sisään.
There was, however, no denying Marcus Grönholm his third successive win in Australia and his 5th victory of the year. He and his co-driving brother-in-law Timo Rautiainen had led for 22 of the 24 stages, so their performance was nothing short of crushing.
150. Yes, maali. Onneksi on.
Well, congratulations, Marcus. The world champion wins again for the 3rd time in a row in Australia.
Yeah, not bad. Now it's good feeling. It has been a long rally for me. No really fight, but now it's good.
Harry, you must be very, very pleased with 2nd overall.
Yes, we tried that very hard yesterday, but today everything is going brilliant and extra more attack because in morning we know it's possible if everything's working well.
Petter, a very, very brave fight from you and Phil, but you just couldn't quite beat those Peugeots here in Australia.
No, it looks quite okay yesterday, but it was different today, that's for sure. But I must say, I'm very happy. It's podium here, and we're getting some points, and maybe it's possible for 3rd place in the championship. Who knows?
Carlos, this has been a pretty difficult rally for you and Lewis all round.
Yeah, it has been difficult, especially today, but I think I'm quite happy. It was a pity the stupid roll of today, but really it was nothing I can do.
With Mäkinen's exclusion confirmed, this is how the revised results look. Grönholm and Rovanperä making it Peugeot's 9th 1-2 of the year, and Solberg, Sainz, Martin and Gardemeister rounding off the top 6. Loeb finished 7th, while Parsonen brought the Mitsubishi Lancer home in 9th place. However, belonged to the first team, their pair of Finnish drivers. The Peugeot team boss's speech sounding a little familiar. Grönholm's victory, of course, means little since he's already won the driver's title, but the battle to be runner-up is still far from settled. Burns, McRae, Sainz, Panizzi, Rovanperä, and even Solberg can still finish 2nd in the championship, depending on what happens on the final round in Wales. In the series for manufacturers, however, Ford claims 2nd place behind Peugeot, and the only remaining battle is to decide who finishes 4th. The World Rally Championship returns to Europe for its final round in Great Britain. The traditional sticking tail of the series will be very different to this weekend, with fog, rain and thick mud virtually guaranteed. McRae and Burns have to show who's boss on their home event. But on his current form, who's to say Marcus Grönholm won't repeat his victory here in Australia, leaving the others to fight for the remaining places. Join us in Wales in just a couple of weeks' time, but from Perth and an incident-packed Rally Australia. Goodbye.